I want you to think for a second about your own experience as a mother. And I'd like to place a bet that there's a pretty big gap between the mom you thought you were going to be and the reality your mind is telling you. Because crappy moms don't think about anybody else other than themselves. So when you sit in a space of, wonder how I could have done this differently, it proves that you're a good mom. And it's time for you to start acknowledging that. Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica. Mother's Day is this weekend, and I wanted to record something just for you. A little confession, a little real talk, and hopefully something that makes you feel a whole lot less alone. Life has been busy over here. We hit 100,000 downloads last week. I am working on a live virtual event for us to all celebrate, as well as some giveaways and special offers. So stay tuned. But I've taken on a few extra opportunities because, well, I am a little crazy. You know how it goes. A fun opportunity arrives and then another, and then you say yes to everything that is fun and expansive. So as I am trying to get ready for my Ireland adventure, I'm also working through a 40-hour certification. And that's actually what prompted today's episode. I have these moments when I'm not the mom I want to be. And that's what I want to explore, because it is not about the kids. It's about you. It's about the story your mind is telling you and the connections it's making about what your behaviors mean. And before we dive in any further, I want to acknowledge something. Because Mother's Day is not a simple day for everyone. Some of you are mothering through divorce and doing it alone in ways that you had never planned. Some of you wanted to be a mother and it didn't happen the way you had hoped. Some of you lost your mom. Some of you have complicated relationships with the woman who raised you. And some of you are grieving a version of motherhood that never got to exist. It is a loaded day. And this day has a way of drawing a very clear line between those who have and those who don't. And I don't want to do that here. What I want to say is sometimes the things we cannot control in life really fucking suck. And you're allowed to feel that way without having to wrap it up in a lesson or a silver lining. So can we all sit in a space of agreeing that the pivots that we've been thrown in this life are probably not what we had planned? And we are all doing our best to wrap our minds and our hearts around the reality that we're living. So however this day is landing for you, this episode is for all of you. I was not always the mom I wanted to be, but I was always a good mom. I want you to repeat that. I want you to say that yourself. I was not always the mom I wanted to be, but I was always a good mom. I know that there are hundreds, if not thousands of you listeners on the other side who need to hear the same thing. Last night, as I was finishing up that certification, my son was out in the other room. I was working in the back. We leave for vacation on Thursday, and I had that moment. This isn't how I want it to be. This wasn't the mom I wanted to be. I was working late. I was about to be gone for 2 weeks. My kiddo is staying here. He's got school. So it opened the floodgates. Just that one single awareness opened the gates, and all the old memories flooded in. The judgment, the shame, the places that I wasn't the mom I wanted to be. I didn't show up the way I wanted to be. I didn't prioritize the things that I wanted to prioritize. Work can wait, right? Why the push? Why the rush? I was literally having a cats in the cradle moment, if you know that song. So I yelled down the hallway. I said, "Hey, kid." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Are you bored?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, do you want to do something?" And there was a little hesitation. He asked me, maybe, "What are you thinking about?" So I shared that because I was leaving on this trip, I would love to spend time with him because I'm going to be gone. And that is far more important than the certification I was trying to push through. I asked if he wanted to watch TV or a movie or hang out, followed by a rather large, long pause and a no. "I'm good, Mom." So in that moment, did he want to hang out with me? No, he wanted to hang out with his friends, but they were busy and not available. but it didn't change what was happening inside for me. I was still feeling the feels, the guilt, because his answer of no only fueled my belief that I must have done something wrong. He must not want to hang out with me because he's upset about something. So flash forward to the next morning. Talking to him, I'm telling him about the guilt. I'm saying, no, this is for real for me. I feel bad that I'm not the mom I saw in my mind. When I wanted to become a parent, I saw how I wanted it to be. These beautiful moments of helping your child explore nature or sitting down and laughing as you're helping them do homework. And I felt guilty about letting life get in the way of what I thought that looked like. So big picture, I do think I'm a good mom. My child knows his manners. He's helpful. He's kind. He has had experiences and opportunities to explore who he wants to be. In the little picture, the present moments, I could write a novel on the way that I wish I had done things differently. And I'm confessing my deepest, darkest worry to my child that I have ruined his childhood. And I ask the fear that we all hold, are you going to need therapy to get over how bad of a mom I was? My child laughs. Oh yeah, mom, lot of therapy. Really screwed up here, teasing me back. In those moments, I know he's fine. But I also know it's not about him. This is about me, about my nervous system and the stories I've created in my head. So when I look at my almost 15 years of being a mom, my guilty brain goes to 3 moments, 3 snapshots out of thousands, because time goes faster than we think. We have all heard it. Every older individual tells us the same thing. One day you'll miss these moments when they're screaming and crying. One day you'll miss these crazy bedtimes. One day you'll miss it. And we know it. Logically, we know it. I think emotionally, we even understand. We know that it's hard when people move out and they go on to college and they do other things. We get all of that. But I don't believe we truly feel the depth of it until we've experienced it, until we've made that mistake and we sit in a place of longing and yearning to be able to have a redo. So there were 3 I shared. As a toddler, I wish I had had more patience with him. I tried so hard to make it perfect. Batch freezer cooking on the weekend, Pinterest boards, holiday Christmas cookie decorating parties. I took development very seriously. And during the divorce, I was checked out. I was living in an extreme state of survival, just trying to get through one day at a time. And now, teenage years, I'm building a business. A lot of hours go into it, and sometimes the wrong things get prioritized. 3 moments out of almost 15 years. And my inner critic uses those moments to write the story of who I am as a mother. Why? Because those moments are triggering for me. Those moments are my most disappointing in being a parent. In those moments, they still live in my being. So our bodies remember, and the body will override any logical thought we have. It's that nervous system activation, the fight or flight, the preservation, which is why when the worry, the shame, the judgment got activated over me working late around a teenager who is really happier to scroll online and do his own thing than hang out with me, it instantly brought up these other 3 memories. It's the power of unhealed wounds. They live and they breathe in the background until something just gently presses up against them. And when that happens, I do the work again. I look at it, I explore it. And today I share it with you because healing is not a one and done. It's a process of regulating your nervous system when it gets triggered, rewiring how you say things or what you believe about things that happened, the story that it tells you it means. And then when we do these things, when we regulate and we rewire, now we can move forward into realizing a new way forward. We can operate differently. We can choose a new behavior. And we are far more critical on ourselves than we are on anybody else. So we replay these stories in our mind about how terrible we must have been when we were just doing our best. And when we're just trying to balance all of the crap that's on your plate and get through the day. So I want you to think for a second about your own experience as a mother. And I'd like to place a bet that there's a pretty big gap between the mom you thought you were going to be and the reality your mind is telling you. And in that gap, that is where your harshest inner critic lives. It's not reality. It is how your mind is choosing to bend the truth to fit a narrative it's already decided. If it's already decided that you were a bad mom, It's going to find the examples where you didn't show up the way you had hoped. I wish I had been more patient. I wish I had been more curious. I wish I had focused more on building my son's inventor hat than trying to get him to follow the rules. But thank God there were people around him who did support that. Just like in a relationship, we are not the end all be all for somebody else. We can't be. We don't want to expect that of somebody else because we don't want somebody to expect that of us. We're going to be who we are. We're going to have certain strengths. There are pieces of who you are as a mom that are absolutely amazing and different than what you learned from your own mom or from other women you watched raising kids. And your job is to stop that inner critic, to challenge it. When that inner critic shows up, the game I like to play is to ask myself, is that really true? Were you always a terrible mom? Did you never have time for your son? Are there never any memories of good, positive experiences? And when we start to challenge our inner critic and ask questions like that, we know that the answer is no. The moment I shift what my mind is sifting and sorting from, I can start to find some really beautiful adventures my son and I went on. There was a specific trip to California, a trip to Colorado. There was a couple dancing episodes in the kitchen at our last townhouse and some days playing baseball with the dog. We called it dog ball because she would chase down every ball and bring it back so we could play with just the two of us. There were good moments, but our inner critic speaks louder. And the fact that you care, the fact that you're even sitting in a space saying, oh my gosh, I'm worried that I wasn't a great mom, says you're a good mom, because crappy moms don't think about anybody else other than themselves. So when you sit in a space of, I wonder how I could have done this differently. I wonder how I want to do this differently. When you try and clean up the places where a rupture or a break or a disappointment happen, it proves that you're a good mom. And it's time for you to start acknowledging that. Because the evidence in front of you, it tells a very different story. For me, my son loves to tease me. Good Lord, does he know the places that my mom guilt, my worry, my anxiety get to me? And does he love to almost use them as a teaching moment and push those buttons in his sarcastic way that I really am overreacting? He's loved. He's happy. He's thriving. The standard you're holding yourself to is probably not fair. I held myself to a standard that I should have always been patient and present and kind when I was dealing with a massive, chaotic, intense situation. So you need to let yourself off the hook. You were doing your best inside a marriage that was falling apart. Maybe there's a career change. Maybe there's a move. Maybe there's a loss of your support system. You were doing the best you could in the conditions that were there at the time. And the guilt isn't proof that you failed, it's proof that you care. But we cannot let the guilt continue to grow. We cannot let the guilt and the worry and the anxiety and the judgment spiral out of control. That's when you feel a bit crazy. This is the role, this is the task of learning how to take your power back. Because our system will run on autopilot, will allow those feelings to get bigger and more intense and to scream louder, and you'll start to believe them. And it's in these moments when we learn how to regulate our nervous system, to shift out of that fight or flight survival mode, that now we can make a new decision. We can shift the trajectory. It really, truly is that woo in the do moment. If you want to do something differently, we've got to energetically line up to the version of you that is ready and capable of doing it. So if you feel like we've hit some buttons tonight, I want to give you a little invitation to start to crack open or shift the way that your mind wants to look at this. First, you are not alone in this. I have yet to meet a mom who doesn't wish she had done something differently. Like, do you seriously have a mom friend who's like, nailed it when it comes to parenting? In fact, my own mother, hi mom, she listens now. My own mother was recently sharing that she and her friends, now all grandmas, were sitting around and reflecting on motherhood versus grandmotherhood. And they were asking themselves and saying, I just really hope I did a good job. I tried the best that I could. I hope I did a good job. And spoiler alert, yes, mother, you did. You are far more patient than I am even capable of. But we all wonder as we get older, in the moment that we have to make a choice or take action, we do the best we can with how our system is firing, what our mind is telling us, and what the options are in front of us. And it is so easy to look back at the choices we have made from a now evolved state. You've grown, you've changed, you've experienced. You are not the same person today as you were even a year ago. I am not the same mom today as the mom 9 years ago when we were fresh in the separation. So we've got to stop looking at our past and saying, you could have done better. Because in the moment, you did the best you could. Those moments that you replay where you doubt how good of a mom you are, they're not the whole story of who you are. They're a snapshot. They are the instances that are stuck somewhere in the body, in your emotions, the ones that are asking to be healed and processed. The guilt you feel, it means you cared. A bad mom does not lose sleep over how she acts or what she says or what happens to her kids. And so I ask you, what would it look like to hold yourself with the same grace that you give your best friend or your child when they're struggling? Why do we give ourselves that grace last? Because when I felt really good about my parenting, it was when I was heavily focused on what I needed to be my best self. I maintained my movement in the gym. I maintained my sleeping. I maintained the healthy eating habits that I wanted. And you know what happened? Life got really good. We laughed more. We had more fun. We danced while making dinner. We put music on and moved. So when I prioritized myself, it didn't mean everybody else got less. It meant they got more because I had a full cup to be able to share with somebody else. Because I was running in a state of abundance that felt good, I wanted other people around me to feel that as well. And it's those moments that when I doubt whether or not I'm a good mom, I pull out those memories, the laughter, the smiles. Thank God I captured some videos during those times because that's the healing potion. The negative stuff gets triggered, it comes up, we look at it, is it true? And we learn to regulate our nervous system. Now, there have been so many tools we've talked about. And in fact, before you leave, we're going to do a little tool together. But even something as simple as taking a deep breath, placing 2 hands on your heart so that you can feel what's around you, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and reminding yourself, I'm doing the best I can. So let's give you another tool. What I want to do is take us through a little guided tapping. I really love a good tapping experience, whether you just do the full EFT tapping protocol or just the karate chop. Or even for me, after I had worked with a therapist, I had tried EMDR as a therapy option. It's a therapy that they use to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. Tapping on the sides of my knees, a left, right, that bilateral stimulation can break free what my body is holding on to. Because in the moment that it happened, our body was unable to process the experience because it was too big or too scary or too much. And so we packed it away and we put it in the corner, and it lives somewhere in a muscle or in the fascia in your system. And we need to reprogram it to let it go. You don't have to carry this anymore. So EFT tapping, we start by repeating a sentence 3 times, and then we tap through a series of points on the body. These are pressure points that help to stimulate and release the trapped tension in the body. The physical sensation of tapping brings you back to the present moment. And the repeating of statements helps you rewire the belief systems you've got going. So find yourself in a comfortable seated position. If you're driving, come back to this later. But I want you to go ahead and start with the karate chop. So one palm is open, the other hand, you're tapping the fleshy pinky finger side of your palm into your open hand. Go ahead and close your eyes, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Now, as I guide you through this, I'm going to tell you where to move your tapping point, and I want you to repeat after me all of the pieces that I say. Even though I was not the mom I wanted to be, I love and respect myself. Even though I didn't show up the way I wanted to as a mom, I deeply love and respect the mom that I was. And even though my mothering is still a work in progress, I deeply love and respect myself. The next stop is right in between your brows, right where that brow starts on either side, left or right or both, whatever is comfortable. Being a mom was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Continuing to breathe in and out through your nose, outside of your eyebrow, right on your temple. I had all these hopes and dreams and plans, and I just don't feel like I did it. Under your eye, right on that cheekbone, it was really hard. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Under your nose, above your lip. And I have so much regret. Under your lip, above your chin. I have so much regret on how I wanted it to be. Along your collarbone, I wish I could go back and do it differently. Under one arm where that bra strap hits, I would give anything to be able to go back and do it again. Top of the head. But I know that that's not possible. Go back to the center of your eyebrow. I wish that I could do things differently, but I know that I can't go back. Outside of your eyebrow, temple side, but sometimes it still haunts me. Under your eye, sometimes I think of those horrific memories, those lowest points when I'm embarrassed how I showed up as a mom. Under your nose, above your lip, and I worry that it hurt my kiddo. I'm worried that I hurt my kiddo. Under your lip, above your chin, and I love my kiddo so much. The last thing I would want to do is hurt them. Collarbone. I love them so deeply, it hurts sometimes. Under your arm. And isn't that the beauty of motherhood? Top of your head. I just want to be a good mom. Center of your eyebrows. I want to be a good mom. Outside of your eyebrows. I want to let the past go. I want to be at peace with the way I showed up. And I want to be a damn good mom. Under your eye. Because I am a good mom. I love my kids. I care about my kids. And I try my hardest. Under your nose, above your lip. I'm a really freaking good mom. Under your lip, above your chin. And I got this. I got this. I can do this. Collarbone. Not only can I do this, I can love it. I can thrive. I can grow. I can change. I can expand. I can kick ass as a mom. Under your arm. And that doesn't rely on anything that happened in the past. That is because of who I choose to be right now. It is because of who I choose to be moving forward. And I am ready. Top of your head. I see the assignment. I understand the assignment. And I'm ready for the assignment. Stop tapping, put your hands in your lap, and allow those sensations, the energy, the release to trickle down around you. Bring your attention to your body. What feels different? What shifted? What moved? What statements brought up tears and pain? And imagine that running out of your body, letting it go. Gently say goodbye to those memories. Say goodbye to the places that you did the best you could, even if you wish you had done it differently. Say goodbye to the guilt, the shame, the fear. And instead, shift and look forward to the future. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be as a mom? And what do you need to show up that way? You can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, flutter open your eyes. So I want to leave you with this thought. For Mother's Day, I want you to give yourself this gift. It is time that you forgive yourself. You're holding yourself to a standard that is just not possible under the conditions you're dealing with. The fact you tried means you are a good mom. The fact you care means you're a great mom. In these little moments of regret, they're not the whole story. Your story isn't over yet. So remind yourself that if anxiety, worry, judgment, doubt, shame show up, it's because you're not in the present moment. You are either judging the choices of the past that cannot be changed, or you are projecting into the future and future tripping over a truth that you don't know whether or not it's going to come true. Refocus on your present, something as small as the feeling of a cup of warm coffee, a pretty flower, a beautiful cloud. Find something right in front of you that makes you happy. Block out the past, block out the future, find something in the present, and then repeat after me. I am a good mom. I'm a good fucking mom. I did a good job. I'm getting better every day. And every day I try my best. And that is okay. So wherever you are at in the world, whatever your role is or your attachment to Mother's Day, I wish for you to have a peaceful Sunday. May it be filled with present moments. May it be filled with tiny acts that bring you joy, tiny moments, tiny treats, tiny experiences, because we build a life we love with each small choice and small step. So until our next episode, give yourself grace, go for a walk, celebrate the fact that you are a good mom. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.